How's it going, guys? Happy Easter. I hope you're spending lots of fun times with your family and friends, having great dinners and all sorts of things. That's what Easter's all about, having fun with your family. And I've been wanting to do this video for quite a while. I've actually left little Easter eggs in previous videos hinting towards me doing this video in the future. And I've been hesitant because I'm probably going to cop a lot of flack from doing this. Honestly, the internet's just like that, so I'm prepared. Come at me. Anyway, before I do it, let me tell you a little story. A couple of years ago, I used to run a Year 7 3D printing club at a high school in Sydney. So in this club, I started thinking, okay, it's mostly going to be guys, young boys who are wanting to design guns and spaceships and, space commanders and all these sort of things that, guys would get into. But to my surprise, more than half the club was girls. And the reason being, they realized they could 3D print their own toys. And by toys, I mostly mean My Little Pony figurines. That's right, guys. This is a video about how to 3D print My Little Pony. Let's get into it. Alright, let's get started. So, firstly, fire up a browser. I recommend Chrome. And go to the search or whatever and type Ponylumen. And we want the 3D PonyCreator. So, Ponylumen doesn't really say anything about themselves. I'm Ponylumen, someone who's French and likes to program things. And what they've created is this PonyCreator, which is a 3D customizable pony game. And its functionality is actually, to be honest, fairly insane. You can customize almost everything, and you can actually pose them as well. So before in my 3D printing club, I would have to send them little bits like the mane and the hair and bits separately, and they have to stitch them together in software. But now we can just do it all online, and pretty much saves us a huge amount of hassle. So it makes it really easy for kids, which is good. So here you can edit, for example, different face types, and you can decide how high they are. Really tall or really short, tiny, their width, head size, and you can do color as well. And I'll talk a bit more about color later. For what we're doing, we're not going to use color, so don't worry too much about that. Horns, you can have like an alicorn horn or whatever that is, the holy one, chrysalis. You can change the mane and hair types, so he's got heaps of different options. So rarity, change that, so it's all curly. I really love the physics as well, really a lot of thought has gone into this, which is really cool. Tail, choose random ones, which is really neat. You can even add sort of accessories like they got a little cute sort of scarf or something. Headphones. No way. That's awesome. And then, to make it even more insane, you can actually pose them. So, for those involved in 3D modeling for games and such, and animation, you'll be familiar with posing. Posing lets you, change the character's look and everything based on rigging, which is sort of the bone and joints of a 3D model. So I can click this and I can sort of tilt her head a little bit. I can click the ear and I can tilt the ear sort of forward or back. Maybe a little bit this way or this way. And you can go around and, pretty much pose anything you want. You can, make the front leg go forwards, hoof down, something like that. And you can really change almost everything, including the face. So facial features, you got a face, you make the eyes angry, angry pony, like that. Or you can make, sad eyes, sad. You can even do the mouth, so, drawer open or closed, happy or unhappy, no good. And you can, make it, angry. You can do any combination of these. There's also a few presets for posing. Be warned, once you click the presets, you lose all the posing you've already done. So, for example, sitting. That's a nice little basic preset. So I keep hitting the wrong buttons. Just a side thing on navigating. You click to rotate and you right click to pan. So I think the idea is you can sort of zoom out and sort of put them on the scene, which is really nice. But for what we want, we're just going to 3D printing them. So pan back in there. Bro. No way. Sit. And you can even do animations. So there's a default animation for all sorts. So walking. And running. You know, flying even, but there's no wings, so that's awkward. Let's add a wing. Let's add some wings. Let's add bat wings. That's one. There we go. So you can have wings. You can have like a flying animation. But you can also use this animation for your posing. So it's pretty quick and cheating, but you can take the animation speed right down and we'll be able to export in that pose. So to demonstrate, I will show you one I've prepared earlier. So to go to save what you've created, you go to load or save, and you can save this format he's created, which is PonySave, which is just a sort of a JavaScript, I believe. But I'm going to go to import and go to this folder, and here's one I prepared earlier. So it's sort of like a mid-air rainbow dash sort of running pose. I might there we go, just get one of the legs down. So I'm planning to make this with one of the legs, or both the back legs, anchored on something, and then sort of a mid-air action shot. Cool, so I'm happy with that. I will go to load save, and you want to download 3D model as an OBJ. So what that's going to do is collect everything with all the posing and everything that we want into an OBJ file and save it as a zip. So go to that zip and extract it into a folder, like so. And you end up with all of this. So this actually includes the textures as well, but as I mentioned, we're only printing in one color, so we're going to ignore that for now. Perhaps in future, if this video is popular, I might do a full color 3D print tutorial, but it's much harder. So for now, we're just going to worry about the OBJ files. So the next program you will need is my beloved Mesh Mixer. Fire up Mesh Mixer and go to the folder where the OBJ files is. This is a bit of a hack. Usually Mesh Mixer only lets you bring in one file at a time from the import menu, but if you select all the OBJs separately, it's a separate window, and drag them in, they'll all open up at the same time. Like so. So here we have our pony, and it's very important to note that each individual component is actually still separate. So hair's separate. You know, the eyes are actually separate. Like, you know, that's terrifying. But they're separate. If you send this to a 3D printer, it won't quite know what to do with it because these are known as shells, and they're known as intersecting shells. So they're actually intersecting each other, and the printer may freak out depending on what one you have. So before we do anything to this model, we need to combine it into one uniform mesh. So two-stage. Firstly, select all the objects and select combine. So combine in Mesh Mixer, literally it's like putting them in a folder. It doesn't actually join them. So although that looks joined, it's not. So important to note, Mesh Mixer will not join the meshes when you use the combine tool. So these are still separate shells, but they are now in one OBJ, which means we can export it as one OBJ. So we go to export and call it something like r-combined, and you save it as an STL. So when the files are created, they are saved as an OBJ, but STL is what you want for the printer, so now's a good time to save it as an STL. So next we need to go to NetFab Cloud, and this is NetFab's online cloud service to repair STL files. So you need to log in with your Microsoft account. Alright, so navigate to exported combined file, it's mine there, and open that, and this will upload it to the NetFab Cloud service and pretty much stitch all those shells together into one uniform mesh so we can print it. And it's just doing its hard work. I wish there was an easier and basic way to do this. You can kind of do it in Mesh Mixer with the Make Solid tool, but it's very buggy and you lose lots of details. So until I find a better solution, this is the only way you can do it for free. So once that's done, select download, and the NetFab service will add fixed to the end of your file by default. So we can import and replace this scene with our combined and fixed file. So it looks exactly the same. However, if you go to edit, separate shells, there's no multiple shells. It is one manifold mesh. Two things we need to do now. One, we need to determine what size we want to print it. And two, we need to do a few things to make sure it prints well. So these files are designed for 3D animation. So they have some very fine features, particularly the edge of the wings and the tips of the tail. They're quite delicate and may not print very well. Also the hair as well, the edges might be a bit sharp. So firstly we'll set the size, so units and dimensions. So it's coming in at 66 by 46. That's actually not too bad. It's a little bit small maybe. I tend to print these models a little bit larger so they look quite good. So let's go with 100. And then 76. Oh yeah, that looks pretty good. Done. And if we go to print, again this is a multi-stage process. I wish there was a better way than just going into save, redo, save, whatever. But in the print option in Mesh Mixer, under the repair tool, there is this fix for minimum thickness option. So this is a magical tool that will automatically determine on the model which areas are too thin and may fail for printing, and will give them thickness. And I'm not even kidding, this function isn't even available on like high-end paid mesh fixing software. Usually it's a dumb process of adding thickness. You have to do it uniformly to the whole model, but this function is actually intelligent and will only add it where it's needed. So it's pretty labor intensive on the computer, so let it just think and do its thing, and we'll come back to it once it's complete. Cool, well there we have it. So what it's done is it's thickened up the areas that would probably fail. It's added some nice little fillets into between the wings. The tail sort of has some nice fillets. The eyelashes are now nice and well rounded, so they're not going to break off. We have lost a tiny bit of definition around the eyes, but in my opinion it actually looks much better, because what it's done is it's sort of in a way subdivided these triangles to make them smoother and look better. So that's actually a really nice model. Like, I'm really impressed with how this works. And it's definitely much better than the faceted look they have coming straight out of the Ponylumen PonyCreator. So we will say done. And this is where it gets a bit tedious. We have to save this here and then re-import it into Mesh Mixer. I know it's not ideal, but for free software you got to cope with the shortcomings, I guess. So I'll go back to MLP, and this is combined, fixed, thickened, because this is like the final printing interface, and if we go back we lose it. So yes, we're going to lose it. Import, replace, and we grab the thickened one. So here we have our thickened one. For some reason it's sort of rotated around 90 degrees, I don't know why. So I might just edit, transform, and just spin it around 90 degrees. There we go. And just bring it up a little bit. Alright, so one of the things you need to keep in mind when designing for 3D printing is the model has to stand up. And it's very easy to think, I'll just print this, and what you'll find is it won't actually stand, and it'll be really annoying because it's just going to fall on its side and look crap. So we need to add a base to this print. So we can go to Mesh Mix and grab a cylinder and just plop it in. I don't want them to combine as yet, I just want to bring that in. And with the cylinder you can click this box above the axis you want to change and just shrink it down in height. And I'll change its height so it's just touching the legs. So just a quick tip, if you're getting the gradations, you can use your up and down arrow keys to make them finer. Now I got that tip straight from Mesh Mixer because they've been watching my videos, so let's do that. So the back leg's a little bit sunken, but it's okay. And this leg's just touching, which is cool. And that's pretty much centered. Sweet. So there is one thing in Mesh Mixer that still annoys me, and fair enough, it's free. Pressing W shows the wireframe. We want to Boolean union this pony model to this base. Notice with the pony there is a lot of triangles. There is a lot of triangles that can be used for the Boolean union function, but for the base it doesn't need those triangles because it's flat, so it's quite efficient. But if we union these, and I'll just show an example, select both, and then Boolean union, it's going to kind of damage the foot a little bit. I mean, not hugely, but still something that I want to avoid. So I've shown this trick in a previous video. I'll show it here again. So you select the mesh that you want to change, and what we're going to do is add more triangles. Simple as that. So select, make the brush size much smaller, and select all these triangles, stuff like that, you know, blah, 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 blah. You don't have to, you can select all of them, but I'm just going to do the areas that I want to change. Edit, remesh, and ramp the remesh way up, and smooth way down, because we don't want it to change the geometry. So 100 remesh, and smooth very low. That's pretty good. I might just do it again, because I've got a pretty powerful computer that can cope with it. So that's a lot of triangles now. Accept. And so now if I combine these two with the union, see it did a very, very much finer detail Boolean union and didn't really affect the geometry of the foot, which is cool. And I'll press W to turn the wireframe off again. And that's pretty much it. That's our finished Rainbow Dash running model. So I know it's a lot of steps, but to get to this stage, it's really just a case of saving, closing, reopening, saving, modifying, saving. Alright, so here we have like a visual history of what we just did. So I got the model from Ponylumen, downloaded it, and this is the original model with all the separate shells. Then we pass it through NetFab Cloud to combine these shells, but really the geometry is still pretty faceted. Then we use the fix for minimum thickness option in the print menu in Mesh Mixer, which rounded over some of the shapes and made it a bit stronger for 3D printing, so you can see quite obviously how the eyelashes are much stronger in this model than they were in the original. And finally we added a base in using the Boolean union tool in Mesh Mixer, but also don't forget we added more triangles to the top surface of the disc to make sure when it added the foot with the Boolean union, it didn't really damage the geometry. And that's it, we are now ready to print. So so we're looking through the best settings to use in your up printing software if you've got an up. By quality, you want to go fine, so you want to go very slowly on a model like this, otherwise you're likely to knock over details, especially when it starts building these sort of front hoofs. Like, it'll build support, then if it's moving too fast, it'll knock that over as it starts building it. So you need to be very careful, especially the wings as well, and the tail, so fine is the speed you need to go at. Preferences, Z resolution, I just went at 0.2 because I got an up mini, and I can use a hack to go lower, but it adds other issues, so 0.2 is fine, and the detail honestly looks amazing anyway. Fill, it's a figurine, so as hollow as possible with a honeycomb is fine. Don't go shell, it's not going to print well, and surface is just rubbish, so forget that. Angle, you definitely need to ramp up support angle. So if you want the underside of the model to look good, you want to go up to something like 45. It'll be a lot of support, and you need to pull it all the way, but it will look very good. It'll take longer as well, but yeah, you really need it, especially for stuff like the wings and the tail. If you have overhangs, it's more likely to fail and fall over. So yeah, ramp the support angle up, and okay. And as a warning, models like this will take a long time, so plan to print them sort of overnight or during the day when no one's home, because they will print for about 7 or so hours. So I'm just doing a calculation on this one. 6 hours, yeah, so I was pretty much exactly right. So yeah, 6 hours to print, so run it when you got the time to just let the machine do its thing. But because we did the fix for minimum thickness option, you can see the radiuses and rounded areas on the fragile points will mean the print will be quite strong and far more likely to print successfully than if we just saved it directly from the PonyCreator software. So yeah, there you have it. If you're a dad and you've got a young daughter and you're really trying to engage with her on your hobbies with 3D printing, 3D design, this is the way to go. Like, you can really show that with 3D design and modeling, it can actually be really cool because you can make your own custom things and print them in your own house within the space of a day. And it's a really fun project. It's something that I would definitely do if I had kids, and something that I really enjoyed showing those kids at high school. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I have been hesitant to do this video, but I really just wanted to go all in. So let me know in the comments what you think. Please, no hate. I'm here for love. And if you enjoyed this video, please do subscribe, because I will do 3D printing videos on a lot of different content. I've done one for sort of games like Chivalry, Medieval Warfare, Skyrim. You can 3D print from pretty much any 3D content online. So if you enjoyed that, please subscribe, and I'll see you again here soon on Makers Muse. Have a good Easter, guys. Bye.